What's up, everybody? It's your boy KG. We got episode 11 of Free Knowledge. I want to thank you guys for tuning in for another episode. We got great content for you guys today. In today's focus, we're actually going to talk about quality time. I think right now, with everything going on with this current pandemic, I think we've all had the opportunity to realize the importance of just truly spending quality time with the people that we love. And that kind of brought me to the background of how I came up with this week's podcast. I remember, and most people, if you know me, throughout the time, I haven't been such a big social media person, and I think it really hit me in college. I think it was my junior or senior year, um, when I really started to get kind of serious with, my time, and I feel like that was very important to me just to prioritize my time better. And what I realized that with social media, you become addicted to it, and you really don't even understand that you are addicted to it. And for me, I knew it was a problem when I would wake up in the morning and the first thing I would do was grab my phone and look at notifications and see, who liked this, who commented on that. And it hit me one day, like God was just like, you wake up every morning, the first thing you do is grab your phone and get on social media. And that's when I realized at that point I had to kind of change my mind track of saying, you know what? Why am I waking up in the morning grabbing my phone when I should truly be just, thanking God for waking me up, that I woke up, my eyes are open, I'm breathing, I could feel all my hands and fingers and toes, I could walk. Like, that's when I realized, like, that's the most important thing for me, like, just waking up and acknowledging Him for waking me up. So that's kind of on the premise of what I'm going to be talking about today, and it's just, like, spending quality time with God. A lot of things in life going on right now. I mean, you might have said in the past, man, I've been so busy, work and, maybe you might have a business that you run, or you might have family, these different things might be in your way. But I just want to tell you guys the importance of spending quality time with God. And the first thing that I kind of want to go into is just prioritizing our schedule, our time with God. If you think about it from, if you have a significant other, you got kids, or you're a parent, or you have parents, like, what would happen if you didn't prioritize them? And I always say, if you want to look at it from a perspective of, if you see somebody that you like and you're in that dating phase and you like that person, they like you, you're prioritizing that person. You're trying to spend all the time that you can with that person. So you're literally like, hey, if you don't prioritize that person, what essentially is going to happen is the other person is going to be like, okay, this person's not serious about me. And the same goes for God. If we don't prioritize God, He's gonna be like, okay, you really don't love me like you say you do. You only come to me when things are bad. You don't come to me when things are good. And that's the benefits of being, part of God, being His children, is that His love for us is just, man, it's unmeasurable. Because, like I said, if we relate it to a relationship, you can be talking to somebody and they can be like, wow, this person didn't text me today, or this person didn't call me, tonight. What's going on? I'm done with this person. They could say that. So if you think about it from that perspective, God has never left us, and He made that promise to us that He'll never leave us nor forsake us. So I say that to say, like, we have to prioritize time with God, because even when we don't, He still blesses us. He still has favor on us. He gives us grace and mercy, even when we're not doing the right things, even when we're not spending quality time with Him. He's still showing love to us. So imagine if we are spending that time with Him, that we are carving time out of our day to say, you know what, let me spend this time with God, because if you really truly think about it, in the grand scheme of things, you spend 40 hours a week. The average person, if you have, a job and you're working, or if you're not working for yourself, but even you might be working longer hours than if you work for yourself. But let's just say, on average, person's working 40 hours a week, right? So that means out of that day of 24 hours, you spend 8 sleeping, you spend 8 working, so that's 16. So now you got 8 other hours of that day right there to kind of figure out what exactly it is you want to do. And during that time, how much of that time are you allotting to God? And I once I started prioritizing my time from that perspective, to say, okay, you know what? I started doing it like with watching videos. I would watch sermons, maybe listen to different podcasts, read different articles, talking about God. And those are things that helped me and shaped me into the person I am today, because I wanted to continuously have that relationship with him throughout the day. So I started incorporating that into everyday life. I'm going on a walk, listen to a podcast talking about God is something that helped me along my journey. So just want to leave you with that. And then another thing is that when we're in a situation where we prioritize God in our lives, and then the next thing is that, for example, like if you're in a relationship with somebody, you like this person and they like you, you're prioritizing them into your schedule. And then the next thing that happens when you start dating somebody and you're like, oh, I want to spend all this time with them. And that's the same thing with God. That's the same thing with our relationship with God, is that when you're starting, you're prioritizing your time with God, then you're like, you want to do everything with that person. And that's the same mentality that we have to have with prioritizing our time with God and spending that quality time with him, because it's so important to spend that time with him. Like I can't even put it into too many other words, because I think it's plain and simple. When you literally look at that relationship example analogy, you realize that at the end of the day, when you find somebody like, man, I like this person, like you're doing everything with them. And it makes me think back to when I met my wife. I always think about like when we started dating. And now it's like once you start dating, it's like, man, I want to know more about this person. Like, I want to know what her favorite color is. I want to know what her favorite food is. I want to know her childhood experiences. And that's the same thing that happens with God. Now, when you prioritize time with him, you spend time with him, you're like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that. Oh, I didn't realize that. Now you're spending more time. You start picking up the Bible. You start reading it more. And then once you start reading it more and more, your interest grows more and more into God, because there's so many things. There's people who been on this walk of faith for years and they still don't know it all. No one knows it all. So it's like so many different ways that you could read the Bible and you can just pray and talk with him and you become one with him. Like those are, once you get that experience in your life, and if you already experienced it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a true fulfillment. There's nothing else that can compare to that relationship that you have with God, because now you're at a point where it's like there's not enough time in the day to even spend with God. There's not enough time in the day to just get to know him. So you get to that point where you're just excited. All you do is just basically seek him, and when you realize and you do that, you see the shift that happens in your life. Like literally your life shifts to a whole different perspective. Like the things that you used to worry about, you don't worry about them anymore. The things that used to, plague your mind, you don't even put those things on your thoughts anymore, because you're like, oh man, like God got me. Like, man, he been blessing me my whole life. Even when I was doing wrong, now that I'm doing right, I know he gonna take care of me. And even so, I don't want to say that and you guys take that and think like just because when you give your time to God, nothing will ever come as an adversity in your life. Things will always come. Look at it, for example, with his son Jesus. He lived the perfect life and he still had to die on the cross for our sins. So we all have to take up our cross. We all have to go through different things. And that it comes with God just testing us, testing our faith to see if we're really truly for him, that we're really riding for him. And I always kind of look at it from the analogy of, think about it, if you're joining a frat or a sorority or a gang, like different things that people do in this world that we live in right now, you have to get hazed. You have to go through different things to prove before they let you in that you really down for them. And that same goes for God. Like God is looking at it like, look, if you say you really for me, all right, let's let this stuff happen in your life and let's see if you really for me or not. Let's see if you really gonna say at the end of the day, oh, I know God got me. When I lose my house, when I lose my car, when I lose my family, when I lose my kids, when I get hit with the disease, like, do you truly love me? Do you truly have faith in me that I will come through for you and bring that miracle in your life? So I just wanted to throw that in there just in case if you're listening, you're like, man, I have given my life to God and man, my life been going crazy ever since, because God really trying you. He really want to see if you really about that life or you not. So keep going, keep pressing forward, and it'll all be good. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is, once you meet something that's good in your life, kind of again, going back to the relationship, once you meet that person that's good in your life, it becomes a forever thing. And that's the same goes with God, because now that you prioritize your time with God, you move to the point where you're like, man, I want to know everything about God. Now I'm interested. I want to learn all these different things. Then that last thing is like, man, this is a forever relationship that I got with him now because, I learned so much about him and I realized how good he is to me and how much favor he has over my life. And then it's at that point where you're like, man, I don't want to do anything without him. And that's how it is in a relationship. Like, and I could think like when I met my wife, it's like, okay, now I prioritize my schedule. Like, oh, okay, let's go on all these different dates. Oh, wow, you know what? Now I spend all this time. Like, no, I don't want to spend time with anybody else. And then now you get to that point where you're like, this is forever. Like we're together forever. And that's where the same thing happens with God. We have to move to that point where it's like, you know what? I don't do anything without God. When I wake up in the morning, I wake up, hey man, thank you, God. I appreciate you. Go to break bread. I'm eating breakfast. Thank you, God, for this food. I drive to work. I'm there safe and sound. Thank you, Lord, for keeping me going to work. I go to the gym. I work out. Man, Lord, thank you for allowing me to be able to work out and keep my physical body right. Thank you for keeping me in the right mind. All those different things, it kind of shifts and evolves us to a point where we're truly giving true gratitude to how good God is in our life. What happens additionally, and in addition to that, is that our life truly just evolves around him. Everything that you do is for him. Like, and it can be, and it's literally, you can put on a piece of paper the life of a person that's, walking in faith and a person that's in the world. We can have the same exact schedule, but my vision and my lens looking at my schedule going to work and your vision and lens of going to work could be two completely different things. Because when I'm going to work, I know I'm on assignment. Yes, this is my job, but I also know the people that are around me, God placed these people here for a reason. I'm here for a purpose. My relationship with my boss, my relationship with my peers, the relationship with the people in the cafeteria, the relationship with the people at the gas station that I go to all the time. God places us in certain places for a reason, and we're all on assignment. So when you realize those things that, hey, my life revolves around God and not the other way around, then that's when we truly humble ourselves and realize the importance of, showing gratitude to God, spending that quality time with him, because we know he could have easily said, you know what, I'm not going to wake Courtney up this morning. He could have easily said that because there's some people who didn't wake up, so, and when you truly think about it from that perspective, you're like, wow, man, like, God, man, you so dope, man. Like, you just continuously bless me. And then you start thinking about the times in your life when you were way off track, and you think like, wow, he kept me through all of that, and he still blessed me now today. And that just shows, and that brings it back to where you just have to give him continuous praise, because without him, we'll all be nothing. So, that kind of wraps up the segment that we're going to talk about with quality time. And I'm going to leave you guys with the 3 takeaways. So the first one is putting God first. As we know, we put God first, everything else will fall into place. Secondly, are you thirsting after God? As we kind of talked about earlier in the episode, once you prioritize a person in your life, now you're thirsting for that person. You might not want to say you're thirsty, but you're thirsty after that person. You're like, okay, you know what? I like this person. I want to spend time with this person. And like, it's not enough dates that you can go on with that person. It's not enough phone calls that you can have with that person. Staying up all through the night. Hey, what's going on? What you doing? That same exact thirst, that same exact drive that you have when you're looking for that person. We have to have that same passion towards God. So are you thirsting after God? Lastly, become one with God. And that's the final part of it, because once we prioritize God in our lives, and then we the second thing is that we put him in a place where we're just thirsting after him, and then we truly evolve into becoming one with him. Because now, like I talked about earlier in the episode, is that everything around us evolves around him. When I go out to go get food, I know that, yeah, I'm going to get food, but it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. Like, everything happens for a reason. Like, maybe the person there might need me to pray for them when I go there. Maybe you don't even tell them that you pray for them, but you're like, man, I can see something wrong with them. Maybe you get in a car and you pray for them. Maybe when different things happen in your life, you realize, like, okay, I'm on assignment. God got this happen for a reason. So I'm going through this experience for a reason. Now I know everything revolves around God, so I have to speak with him about whatever is going on in my life. So I leave you guys with those 3 different things. And just again, is to recap them again: putting God first, are you thirsting after God, and becoming one with God. And this is just like I said, it's all about spending quality time with God. When we spend quality time with God, we'll start seeing our lives mirror the walks of Jesus. We'll start to see our life literally mirror the Bible. We're not going to be perfect because people in the Bible aren't perfect. No one's perfect but Jesus. But what I can tell you is that you'll live a life of encouraging not only yourself but others that are around you, seeing you on your faith journey, on your walk. So I give you guys that free knowledge today. I hope that this is something that resonates with you guys. Please make sure that you click the like and the subscribe button. And also, please share it with your family and friends. Share it to your social media followers. It's people out there that need to hear this content. And some people might not understand, where do I get it from? Where do I find it from? But definitely share it with them. And then also, too, if you guys haven't went out to purchase Little Brother Spiritual Motivation, is available on Amazon. The link is also in the description. So thank you guys for tuning in for another week. I truly appreciate you guys. Have a blessed week. Love is love. Peace.